Hey Oz, what movie are we watching this week?
Well, I've got a movie marriage for you. If you take Jim Carrey's Yes Man combined with the 2016 Wells Fargo scandal, you've got this week's movie, A New Year's Resolution. Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we cover a movie that fits into a theme that we've been covering all month. And we have been gifted by 5 weeks of Hallmark-esque Christmas movies. Now that not Halloween season. It's felt like Halloween all month.
It has. It's been quite frightening at times.
Now with Christmas over, we have taken this opportunity to use our 5th week of the month to segue from Christmas movies to a New Year's movie, as this will probably be out just before the New Year. So Happy New Year to everybody out there. And we're talking about a New Year's resolution. Curtis, who we have in this movie?
We have Kelly and Tom and some other people, and that's really all you need to know.
Yeah, Kelly and Tom and token friends.
Yeah, friends and family and coworkers and such.
Yeah.
They're there. They move the plot along, but it's Kelly and Tom.
Kelly and Tom.
Those are the only character names I think I took down while watching this.
Ditto. Kelly is a television producer for Wake Up Milwaukee, which has the smallest signage over their door of any place I've ever seen. Well, Wake Up Milwaukee. Tom is a marketing executive for a bank. A national bank.
Imperium
there it
Bank.
Is, Imperium. I couldn't remember it because it doesn't matter.
That's not a sinister name right there. Imperium.
Right.
Welcome to the Imperium.
Where we will take your money and give you interest. I'm going to give my wife more credit than I deserve this week, as she was clearly in a let's make fun of things mood. So many of I would arguably say my funniest notes are from her. So I give total props to Jenny on this one. Starting with the rating as it pops up on screen, rated G for, and she goes, G for get this over with. And I'm like, oh, type, like, here we go.
Zing!
This is great. She goes, this is rated G for let's get this over with.
I think Jenny's got a future as a talk show sidekick.
Except for the fact that she's got
Ed McMahon, Andy Richter.
Except for her anxiety, which puts her like in a place where she can't handle it. Like she, at one point in this movie, when we get to where Tom takes Kelly to the birthday party, she even said, "Oh no, that's not happening." Like she was so uncomfortable for Kelly, this fictional character. But yeah, so we're another Hallmark rated G film. This one, again, focusing on a New Year's resolution, hence the title. But it does kick off on Christmas Eve. What I did appreciate about this movie, though, is whereas we've seen week after week of all of these events leading up to, the holiday, this movie had no problem zipping days ahead of time. Often leaving some plot holes that I point out here in a minute. So we kick off with meeting Kelly at work and Tom at work. And really, there's a cloud of mystery, per se, that it took a minute to really kind of understand what was going on. But our leads almost crossed paths right away in the movie at the Cocoa Bean.
I didn't even catch the name of it. It's generic bakery to me.
Yeah, it's Cocoa Bean.
And watching this, number 5 of these movies this month for us, every one of these movies has like a coffee shop, bakery, something like that. It's you really get to know the staples of these movies.
Yes. It's a small location, generic in theme, to where we can put people in there with a couple of extras in the background to have dialogue. There's not any big landscaping, wide angled shots of any of these movies. So.
And like everything in these movies, people can relate to it.
Exactly.
People like coffee shops. They like to feel cute and cozy. Oh, hot chocolate. That's a thing that I enjoy too.
So we see Tom at work marketing his bank. We see Tom's boss, who has a pretty cool toupee on. Then we cut back to Kelly at work, who, another tip of the cap to Jenny, is the anchor of Wake Up Milwaukee is a woman named River, to which Jenny said, yeah, that woman is way too old to be named River. So,
River Tamblyn, which is legitimately a great like morning show name.
River Tamblyn. It is. That is a good
River Tamblyn.
River Tamblyn. So it's Christmas Eve. Kelly tells her friends. Actually, she's been telling people all along, I've got a Christmas Eve party. We do a gift exchange with my best friends. That's what I'm doing. So leave me alone. I don't want to do anything fun. This is what I'm doing. And of course, for the second year in a row, she blows them off because she's busy with work. Another career-focused woman in a Hallmark holiday movie.
That job's not going to job itself, Oz.
That's right. How is this television show going to produce itself? There's no possible way the 50 other people that work there could handle it.
Nope, it's got to be me.
So,
this is my identity. This is what
right.
I do.
So she's a bad friend. She blows off Christmas Eve again. Yep. Fast forward to New Year's Eve. Like, we just whoosh.
It took me a couple minutes to figure out like the time jump, because they didn't really relate it to anything. And then like, is it now New Year's?
Yeah, so we catch it right at the end. Kelly, Kelly gets over to her friend's house late on Christmas Eve. They sit on the couch and she apologizes. I'm sorry that I missed it again. I'm just working so hard and I'll do better next year. And she's like, well, you are going to make it to New Year's Eve, right? Yes, I am. Fast forward to New Year's Eve, which I had in my notes here. So it's been an entire week since Kelly blew off her best friends, and she hasn't apologized for it yet. I've got it scheduled. I'm going to apologize to them on New Year's Eve. So I'm going to make them wait an entire week without talking to me. Especially on Christmas Day. Like, I'm not going to talk to my friends on Christmas at all. I'm not going to apologize for blowing them off for the second year in a row. I'm going to wait until New Year's Eve.
She's got some darn good friends, Oz. These are some loyal people.
They are very loyal people. And Kelly's a likable person.
There's nothing wrong with Kelly.
Like, there really wasn't a character in this movie that I felt, had any personality flaws. Kelly a little bit, of reluctance to the relationship scenario, but other than that, I mean, there weren't any damaged people here. They all were good, loyal people, and with careers and just, it is what it is. So we are on New Year's Eve, and we've got our leads sitting with their friends back to back at tables. They don't know each other yet, but so Kelly and her friends are discussing their New Year's resolutions, and Tom and his friends are discussing their New Year's resolutions. And how do our leads meet?
Well, at Tom's table, they're talking about everything, and he's like, "I don't believe in resolutions." No. You take things as they come, and that's how you work. And they dared him basically to go over to the table next over to guess their resolutions, because he's in marketing. In case you didn't know, Oz,
I've heard.
And people in marketing, it's their job to predict the behavior of other people. Hey. So he puts his marketing hat on.
He's a wizard.
And he goes over. And he goes over and basically guesses the resolutions of all of Amber's friends.
Right.
He doesn't get Amber, though.
Kelly.
Did I say Amber? Kelly. These movies are all the same.
Because you said Amber and I didn't even register that you were saying Amber.
Yeah. It's a two-syllable, five-letter name.
This scene of Tom guessing resolutions reminded me of that South Park episode where they're making fun of the medium who could speak, where they just spit out such a vague statement that it could apply to any situation. And then, of course, Kelly's friends jump at, I'm suspecting I feel as if somebody has a resolution to better themselves. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym more.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, somebody has a resolution to finish an artistic project. I'm going to finish my novel.
Well, that's my thing. That's me.
It was just like, okay. But he can't guess Kelly's. He cannot guess Kelly's. Kelly's resolution is to say yes more.
Which that's a resolution that can't go wrong in any way.
No, not at all. Luckily, though, she's in sweet Milwaukee, where everybody surrounding her is polite and has her best interests at heart.
It's Milwaukee. I chuckled out loud when I realized that was the setting of this movie.
Yeah,
it was Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
And the B-roll at the beginning, it's like, oh, there's the Milwaukee skyline. Yeah. And oh, there's the Milwaukee Art Museum on Lake Michigan. The rest of everything else was filmed in Winnipeg.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even check where it was.
Yep, it was filmed in Winnipeg, and they didn't even bother to change the lettering on the exterior of the building.
Oh.
So when they would cut to like the establishing shots going back to the office, it was the some affiliate of a Canadian network.
Well, I'm sure they've got they've got a station in Milwaukee as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Canada. I mean, Milwaukee's basically Canada,
right? It's the Canada of Chicago.
Yes,
it's north and it's cold. So
it's probably Canada.
And so I've noticed at this point that Kelly really likes biting her lip. She's bitten her lip about 4 times already. And it's always a scene change. Like, seems like right before she's done with whatever task she's working on, she bites her lip. That lets the director know that she's run out of things to say and to move on.
That's her thinking look, Oz. Oh, I'm thinking about this. I'm intrigued. Yeah. And then cut to commercial.
Yep.
Do.
So it's now New Year's Day, and now that she and her friends do the typical Milwaukee New Year's Eve tradition of let's go to a dumpster fire and write our...
Yeah, they're standing around like an oil barrel.
Write our resolutions down and throw them in the fire. It's, no explanation as to why. But this is so goofy. Like, hey, everybody, let's... They did. It was...
let's go stand around a 40 barrel, right. 40 gallon oil drum and,
there was
throw our resolutions into the fire.
There was no ball drop. There was no champagne. It was... Or, I guess they did have champagne as they, kicked the homeless person out so they could use their burning barrel to light their resolutions on fire. But, of course, it's now midnight, and her cop friend, whose name doesn't matter... Who just so comedically gives her a new middle name every time she talks to her. Kelly Ezekiel Leone and Kelly Emmanuel Leone. Mm-hmm. She gave her 2, and then that was it. And so she now challenges Kelly. Okay, now that you can't say no to social gatherings, I invite you to take the polar plunge with me this morning. Kelly's like, okay,
I have to say yes. And in the meantime, Oz, at the same time, Tom was out with his buddies. They went clubbing, and previously when they were at the restaurant, he invited Kelly to come with.
Yes,
Kelly declined, but she slipped her number into his pocket.
Right. Yeah, she did. To where, this is the time where, again, Jenny chimes in. She goes, oh, I hope she got the right coat. Because none of the friends were sitting there. They're all standing around talking, and she just dips it into somebody's coat.
Yeah, she had a 1 in 4 chance.
Yeah, she did. So thankfully it was Tom. So now we're at the point. Go ahead.
I gotta, so Kelly and her friends were at the oil barrel.
Yeah.
At the stroke of 12. Tom, a couple minutes prior, walked out of the club, and at 11:59, in the middle of a street in Milwaukee, calls his sister on the phone.
Yes, because...
So he could talk to his preteen nieces who really like him.
Oh, yeah.
Really like him.
Yeah, and I was waiting for an Asian dad to show up. Not there. Which is fine. It's Milwaukee.
It's Milwaukee, known for its diversity.
Right. and it's dads that skip out on their kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. But yeah, at midnight he calls his sister to wish her a happy New Year.
What a good guy, Oz.
He is.
Instead of staying in the club at midnight, he stepped out to call his sister.
He didn't want to be in that club. So we start running into a series of situations where Kelly finds herself in social gatherings, and Kelly finds herself in social gatherings for work purposes, And Tom finds himself at the same social gatherings for bank purposes, because the bank likes to pair up with local little businesses to, blah, blah, blah. He talks about it early in his presentation, but it really doesn't matter. It's a series of situations where I get our leads together. First time they run into each other is at the Polar Plunge. Kelly, again, gave Tom her number, and Tom asks her out. Actually, no, he refuses to ask her out because he knows she has to say yes. So
he wants to earn it. He's got to earn it.
I want you to say yes because you want to. And, of course, she won't ask him out either. So, and so she's back at work. She's talking about her resolution. They're trying to come up with a story for the new year. What are we going to run to a feel-good story? And Kelly's resolution is now the focus of the news, because Kelly is the most important person in Milwaukee.
Yep. Everybody wants to be Kelly.
Yep. This 29-year-old Wake Up Milwaukee news or show producer is now the focus of everyone's attention.
Yep. She is the segment.
Yeah, she is completely. So cut to a race, because Kelly can't say no now. So she agrees to do this race, which I have in my notes. Apparently, Kelly and Tom challenge each other to a race, and it's more of an obstacle course than a race. But are they competing for Milwaukee Ninja Warrior or a spot on Milwaukee Gladiators? I can't figure out which show they were going for.
Well, this was a huge event that Tom was building up. This is what the bank-sponsored obstacle course. Yeah. This was the second of the trifecta of major events that Imperium Bank was sponsoring. The first was the Polar Plunge, which is basically just have some hot chocolate there while people run into a lake.
Did you notice? Did you notice when they all ran in? Of course, she's in a bikini. She runs into, I'm guessing, Lake Michigan or whatever lake was in Winnipeg. But her cop friend, who had on the full bodysuit, when they say go, I was watching her. Everybody runs into the lake. She runs to the edge of the lake. And the actress turns around and runs the other direction. Like, you see a big fat guy running in the lake, and you see this young girl running in the lake, and then her cop friend doesn't run into... I laughed out loud. She did not run into the lake at all. The actress bailed. Okay, the actress bailed.
I noticed that too.
And then it's completely dry later on. Anyway, so the trifecta of events.
Yes, yeah, the Polar Plunge, the obstacle course, and the chili cook-off.
Oh, that's right.
Tom has had to ask his boss for a budget increase to pull these events off.
For this nationwide bank.
Yeah. The chili cook-off. We need more. We need a bigger budget for this.
Can't afford it.
Glenn, the boss Glenn.
Glenn with the cool toupee.
Yep.
Oh.
Those are the three major events that Imperium Bank is sponsoring. This is gonna make or break.
You wouldn't
Imperium
believe how
Bank.
many additional customer accounts we're gonna get set up with these trifecta of events, which foreshadowing we'll touch on in a minute.
So the obstacle course is basically set up to be like a two-person thing at a time. So it's this major event that two people can run at a time.
A dog show's obstacle course is more complex than what these two are doing. So they set up a challenge that what was it? It was, if I win, if you win, what's the reward?
If Tom says, we're just going to compete against each other. Forget about everybody else. And if I win, you get to take me out and buy me coffee.
Yeah,
and she's in.
And she wins. They each cheat. Like, she cheated right from the start. Like, ready, set, and she's already running. She cheated, and I'm pretty sure he let her win, and that's okay. So that's my first note here of these two clearly are into each other. Like, she slipped him her number. Like, why is she acting so awkward about spending time with him? We've got no established failed relationship in her past. She's taken the initiative and given him her number. They're playful, they're flirty, and then he's just like, hey,
is it playing hard to get if you initiate it?
I don't think so. I just think it's being confused, which is what I was.
Here's my number. Right. Don't call,
right?
Because I'll say no.
Right.
Although I'm obligated to say yes.
It's she's very Jan Livingston about this whole situation. I can't resist him, but I have to. And so they set up a time for a date. They're going to go on a date. Let's do it. Let's have a date.
Yep.
This is where no, not yet. Sorry, I sped ahead. She agrees to go on speed dating with one of her friends. And naturally, we're in a speed dating event in a major city like Milwaukee, and there's really only like 8 people there.
And one of them's Tom.
Tom is there for emotional support of his friend,
just like Kelly is with her friend.
And so now it's my original movie Marriage had Yes Man, Bridesmaids because it's set in Milwaukee, 40-Year-Old Virgin because of the speed dating scene. American Gladiators because of the obstacle course.
Obstacle course. I think Nitro was the on-set instructor.
This was more of a movie orgy than it was a movie Marriage. So I pared it down to the Yes Man and the 2016 Wells Fargo bank scandal.
I think that pretty much sums it up.
Pretty much. The others were because I couldn't get a grasp on any other influences on this. Yes Man was obvious. Jim Carrey's movie where he just says yes all the time. That was pretty obvious. But everything else just didn't stick. There wasn't any other. I've seen this before. It was just there.
I will say in general, not much from this movie stuck.
No. It was just there.
Yes, it exists.
They've got a speed dating event where they decide, let's have a date. You know what? It's speed dating. Let's have a date. We're on a date now. Fast forward to one of her reporters or whatever letting her know that 20 people at least have had accounts set up at Imperium Bank in their name without permission.
Gasp.
Right. So now we got a conflict.
Financial malfeasance, fraud. If there's one thing that is a hallmark of Hallmark movies, Oz, it's fraud.
Yeah. And it's fraud. It's fraud that is going to has the potential to destroy the relationship between our leads. Because there is no ethical way that Kelly can run this story and still enjoy the company of Tom. It just can't happen.
It can't happen. It is impossible.
Because he is
the fabric of space-time will come apart at the seams.
And I'm glad that she made the right choice because it would have torn at the threads of humanity.
It's like Michael J. Fox running into himself in Back to the Future.
Exactly. It was the inspiration for this scene, I believe.
Yes.
So this cracked me up too. Reporter breaks, "Hey, Kelly, we've got this report." And then Tom calls and says, "I'm at the chili cook-off." All right, so
the last of the big 3.
Invites her to the chili cook-off in Milwaukee. Doesn't tell her where it was, yet she knew exactly where to go. All right, the town I live in is 2,600 people. And when we have a chili cook-off, I have no idea if it's even going on. Right? It just happens. You
can't just smell it in the air.
No. I may drive down the road and pass the VFW, and they're having a chili cook-off. I'm like, oh, cool, chili cook-off. This isn't a town of 2,600. There's a chili cook-off going on in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
This is a major metropolitan area in America.
And Kelly just knows where it is.
There's the chili cook-off.
Well, they did raise the budget, so there's probably spotlights and street performers.
I think they had it at the Bucks home basketball facility.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think Giannis was there with a ladle, dishing out chili.
This is the hot sauce. So Tom invites Kelly to the cook-off. She shows up to the chili cook-off. She helps out. She decides to give out tickets.
Yeah, they're short-staffed.
Free of charge.
They're short-staffed because, what Tom's buddy says, we need to ask Glenn for a bigger budget, and Tom's like, nah, we got this.
Yeah, we got it. Because I like to bite off more than I can chew.
So good thing Kelly is there.
Yep. So she helps out, hands out tickets. Chili cook-off's over. He brings her, and it's now nighttime. Like, chili cook-off started during the day. It's night. This thing's been going on all day. And then he brings her a cup of chili. Who knows how long that chili has just been sitting there uneaten. It's probably room temperature, but whatever, they eat it.
It's probably somebody's leftovers.
Probably. He just took a couple out of the garbage.
I got you this. I whipped it up myself.
Kind of a chili hodgepodge. But, and he wants to thank her, and he asks if he can kiss her, and she says, "Good night, Tom." She sets the speed limit at 35 miles an hour. She set that earlier, so let's go at 35 miles an hour. And of course, I'm not in Wisconsin very often, but apparently that's very common to just set your relationship boundaries due to speed limits. So everybody knows what 35 miles an hour is, and kissing is way faster than that, so we can't do that. During this scene, the next scene, my wife wanted, they're standing outside, and they can see their breath. They're outside. It's cold. You can see their breath. And they just keep jabbering. But there have been scenes where they've been outside, supposedly in the cold, where there is no breath being seen. So this is where Jenny chimes in. She wants to know if it's actually that cold outside, or if our actors just have mouths full of dry ice. I love watching movies with her, because we're just sitting there, we're both watching it, and I'm typing up my notes, and she just drops these lines like, "They got dry ice in their mouths? Or is it really that cold?" It's rated G for get it over with. It is. It's fun watching movies with her. So, and this is where he invites her to a birthday party or something, doesn't he? He's got a couple events going on.
There's her birthday party. Oh, there's the Chinese New Year's thing that she's covering.
Yeah,
which has some
problems
to that too.
Oh yeah,
but
a lot of problems. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Was it inviting her back? Oh, inviting to his sisters for like a birthday party.
Yeah, and then there was a gala that night or something.
Yeah, and then there was the gala after that. It doesn't matter.
No, it really doesn't. They both reveal there's a point where they meet to play a board game, and this is where Tom admits that he has always wanted to live in Chicago, and she's always wanted to live in Chicago.
And she admits that her career goal, her life aspiration, is to win a regional Emmy
in Chicago. That's it.
A regional Emmy for news production. You can't go up from that. Regional Emmy.
That's it. That's her life goal. So
that's as high as you go on that scale.
He goes to the birthday party.
It's like driving 35 in Wisconsin.
Right. He goes to the birthday party, meets his family. His sister's like, "Yeah, he's a real great guy." I think if they weren't brother and sister, I think they probably would have been dating.
Yeah. His overly affectionate, like, preteen nieces like scream his name and like jump at him and hug him.
They never talk to him. You never see them talk to their uncle.
Uncle Tommy.
That's it. They meet
and then they sprint at him.
It's like
these are like 12-year-old girls.
Yes. They act like a couple of they should have had dogs. Like the sister should have had dogs because that's the relationship he has with his nieces. They greet him at the door. They give him hugs and loving, and then that's it. Like then he continue. And
then they go back to their kennel.
But instead of just having the sister have dogs, they gave her two daughters with no father figure around. So Tommy fills in. Uncle Tommy fills in as the father figure. Shows up with wrapping paper, and so it's just a bunch of just stuff. They're together. They like each other. They go to the gala. They kiss. Kelly reveals, "We've got a problem. Your bank is signing people up, and basically we need a whistleblower." So cut to Tom taking his two douchey salesmen out for drinks to where they are the Harry and Marv situation. Like all you have to do is you just get them there, and Marv, how in like Home Alone 2, and even at the end of the first one where the cops get Marv and he just can't keep talking about their elaborate plan. Like nobody asks
Wet
him.
Bandits, right. W-E-T.
He just keeps going on and on about the plan that nobody asked him about. That's basically what these salesmen do. So, how are accounts going? Oh, well,
fraud's not going to fraud itself.
Fraud. These customers aren't good. They don't know what's best for them. And,
If they would just let us commit fraud in their names.
Because we get a kickback.
I will say it was a little odd how they're given a little bit of grace because Tom is like, well, I mean, there's too much was expected of them, so naturally, they're inevitably the right thing to do is to then commit fraud to meet your sales.
Because we all understand the pressures of corporate America.
Yeah, like Tom is. I mean, I get he's supposed to be a nice guy, like that's the thing in these movies, but like,
he's
really?
too nice. Yeah. In this situation, it's like, hey, fraud is fraud. Don't cut him slack. It's It's almost like he takes the approach to these salesmen and their fraud as the age-old approach of, if you're a mother with hungry children at home and you steal a loaf of bread, is it bad? That kind of like he's put them on the same level. It's like, well, these guys they got to do what they got to do to survive. Like, no, they
got to meet their sales quotas.
Like they don't have to.
It's all because Oz. It's all because Tom trusts Imperium Bank.
Yes. He
trusts that they will do the right thing.
There's a lot of good people.
He knows the people. He knows the reputation. They will always do the right thing.
Cut to Kelly's birthday party,
which is super lavish. Oh my goodness! She's super lavish.
She's turning 30, so let's have a Great Gatsby themed party.
They upped the production for this party. Like everything else was like standard cookie cutter Hallmark, like budget. Like we'll be at the big polar plunge and there's like 6 people there, and we're at the huge obstacle course and there's like four people there.
We see 2 people run it.
Yeah,
chili cook-off. Cut to 2 people making chili.
But the Gatsby 30th birthday party.
Yeah, big time.
Budget is of no concern here.
Right. Not at all. Including the price that they paid for the Velveteen Rabbit that he gives as a gift. Because that was her favorite book growing up. So, I mean, the dude obviously is smitten over her. And vice versa. Like, they clearly are into each other. They're a great fit. This is just another Hallmark. We got 2 people that we could show you fall in love in a commercial, but let's stretch it out over an hour and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. We manufacture a reason for her to be reluctant.
Right. And so he wants to tell her at her birthday party that, hey, what's going on at Imperial is true. She's not ready to hear it. She's off partying, and he's not feeling like dancing. So he tries to, fix the problem himself. And I didn't necessarily fault him for it.
He went to his boss. And when they had agreed that he would go to her first, and he didn't. He went to the boss thinking the boss would do the right thing. And Oz... The boss didn't do the right thing.
No, he just closed those accounts, swept it under the rug, swept it under his toupee, and off they go.
Yeah.
So now we've got tension. Kelly finds
with 10 minutes left of the movie.
Kelly finds out Tom tried to fix the bank scandal before telling her, and she mad. So he did the next right thing. He quits his job.
Yep.
And then agrees to go on her show and detail everything that's happened.
Be an on-air whistleblower.
We're going to blow this thing apart in T-minus 5 minutes.
So it's very all the president's man.
Okay, so it goes viral. Like, this goes viral. There was one point I rewound this because we're cutting to different generic news desks around the nation. And we get to the last woman. I
think I know where this is going. I haven't highlighted the New York affiliate.
This because I swore she said it to Brian Fantana.
Let's cut to our field reporter.
It was
Bantana. That's what it was. It was
Oh my gosh!
I did the exact same thing. Let's cut the field reporter, Brian Bantana, and I started yelling like, "Cut the ball and run! Cut the ball and run!"
In this movie, Jenny even said, "She goes, this actor. She goes, he reminds me of Paul Rudd, guy playing Tom." She said this, half hour or so earlier in the movie, but then oh my gosh, I was so bad.
I so wanted the cut to be like Panda Watch.
Scandal Watch. I rewound it, and it was Brian Bantana. I was like, Hallmark.
Yeah. I wonder if somebody did that on purpose.
I hope so. Oh, I hope so. I mean, what are the odds of having a news anchor, like a news reporter who's
a field reporter,
right,
which
exactly.
Brian Fantana was.
They had to.
Yeah,
they had to so bad, but they didn't. Oh, it would have. Oh, it would.
Maybe the anchor just had a cold and she meant to say Fantana, but let's cut to our field reporter.
And they laid out so much money for the Gatsby party that they couldn't bring Paul Rudd in for a scene.
They couldn't secure awesome, Paul Rudd.
So due to all this, Kelly's dream is fulfilled. She's offered a job at Good Morning Chicago. Her 3 best friends can't wait to get rid of her fast enough.
Go! But there's a Six Flags in between here.
Oh, yeah, I bring that up later. And guess what? Tom's gonna go too. He's gonna go to Chicago
because he already got a job.
And the end. Like that's it.
Yep. That's pretty much
there's
it.
There's no end of Grease riding off into the sky and.
They end up at some like open mic that she casually referenced earlier in the movie, and that's where she's
Tobias in her slam poetry.
Yeah,
you're right.
Tobias. he's Elias.
He makes no money. Tobias, a house in Chicago. So exactly. So her friends who joked with her earlier that they've been taking applications to replace her in their group are now like, oh cool, you're going to Chicago, go, see ya, go, please leave, go. So, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. That's a New Year's resolution.
That's it. That's
Let's wrap this thing up.
New Year's resolution.
So, what do you rate this?
That was it. So Oz and I, after reviewing every movie, we each give it our own unique rating. It was established that Kelly has a thing for board games. Like her 2 favorite things are board games and The Great Gatsby.
Yes, right.
And Tom even apologized to her at the end of the movie by sending her the board game Sorry.
Oh, I did see that. I rolled my eyes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Broke into her house to leave it for her. So it was sitting on her counter.
Yep. So I give this 23 board games.
23 board games. I give this one solid New Year's resolution to not watch another Hallmark movie until next December when we probably do this again. No.
Yes.
That's my New Year's resolution. All right. 3, 2, 1s.
Yep. We got 3, 2, 1 where Oz and I each have share with the audience, our listeners, 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 huzz from this week's movie. Oz, you want to kick things off? What were your 3 goods? I do.
My 3 goods. As usual, this checked all the Hallmark boxes. It has become that comfortable zone. There's stock drone footage. There was a video call. There were cheap title overlay. There were fake snow. It checked them all. Like this was, if you weren't paying attention and you didn't know what channel you were on, but you knew what a Hallmark movie looked like, you would know you're watching a Hallmark movie. I also really like the supportive friendships. Her friends were loyal. You'd mentioned it earlier. They had no reason to keep ties to her like they do. She says no to them all the time. She blows them off. But they value her. They love her, and they know that it's not necessarily her personality. It's a byproduct of her job. So they're supportive in that. And my 3rd one, I really appreciated Tom's respect to Kelly's boundaries. He felt she was worth the wait, and so he waited. And I thought that was very admirable and responsible and respectful of Tom. What about you?
We share 2 of the 3 goods. There wasn't a whole lot from this movie.
No,
I had to
really
think
wasn't.
hard. I had to think hard for my goods. So I don't think it's surprising at all that 2 of the 3 we have in common. Kelly's friends are super loyal, despite the fact that she's kind of a trashy friend. And Tom has his sister. Oh my, she is very smitten with her brother, and her very, very affectionate preteen daughters who think of who think of Tom as this father-esque figure, and who just can't be around him enough, and can't sprint up to him with hugs.
Made him on the front porch at one point.
Yep. It's my second good. This, again, as you said, this checks the Hallmark boxes. We have, we get to the story right away. we have like 15 seconds of B-roll at the beginning of the movie, and then there we are. We're in the studio with Kelly. There's a career-driven, non-threatening female lead. Something I have noticed in these movies is at least the one with a female male dynamic is that the female leads they're all. I was talking about this with my wife, with Melissa, yesterday, and the female leads in these movies, they're very non-threatening because I don't think it's an assumption or anything to say that the key demographic of these movies are women.
Yes.
These movies target generally a female audience. And so the lead female has to be relatable.
Oh yeah.
It has to be someone that the female audience can identify with. So you're not you don't have like these like bombshell-esque,
right? You have
like women walking around. Girls.
Yeah, I mean they're cute, they're attractive, but they're not they're not the type that are going to steal everybody's attention when they enter a room.
Yeah, like they're not like these pinup models,
right?
And that's taking nothing away from these actresses at all. But I think it's very intentional casting choices,
right?
So you have these non-threatening female leads. You have a handsome, humble male lead, loyal loved ones. The conflict comes with 10 minutes left in the movie, and it's resolved in the next 5 to 7 minutes. Everyone is wearing super cute outfits. Like everyone is dressed to the nines. And there's coffee and hot chocolate everywhere.
No, all over the place.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So checks every Hallmark box.
Right. Every Hallmark holiday movie box. I mean, obviously Hallmark produces movies all year long. I haven't watched any of them, but but I'm sure that they all follow a very similar theme, just not necessarily tied to a holiday.
And my last good were the casual references to Wisconsin and Milwaukee culture. Like, there's the B-roll of the art museum on the lake, and we got a reference the Six Flags between Chicago and Milwaukee,
which listeners, by the way, is not halfway. Like, yeah, it is. Would you agree that it's closer to Chicago than Milwaukee?
It's closer to Chicago,
because they keep referencing
Gurnee, Illinois.
Referencing that it's halfway between. It's not halfway. So if you're a Milwaukee listener and you're not aware of Great America, it's Six Flags Great America.
Yeah, Kenosha is halfway.
Get there.
Get it right. and also I laughed out loud at this one. It was such a subtle, dumb thing. It was during the speed dating scene. Before Tom and Kelly talked to each other, Tom was talking to Kelly's friend who was there, and she's talking up Kelly and all that, and he makes some reference to, or she asked him the question like, if you could have dinner with anyone in history, dead or alive, who would it be? And he said, well, either my Nana or Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah.
And she responds with, "Go Pack!"
I did see that. Yeah. Yeah. I did catch that. Yeah.
So just these just seeding in like the local culture,
which is funny because like just how they're shooting it in like Winnipeg or whatever.
Yeah, but it's like they have to cater to the local to the local sports team, and everyone in Wisconsin is crazy Packer fan, which is true. Like you can't reside in Wisconsin and not be a fan of the Green Bay Packers.
Fair enough.
So what are your two bads?
First bad. I mentioned earlier her hesitation to Tom when it was clear that they liked each other. It obviously wasn't a turnoff for him, but it was just confusing. She initiated the conversation when she left him the phone number. He texted her Happy New Year. She smiled. So she was open to this dialogue. She was open to this budding relationship. She bumps into him all the time. He's very respectful of her boundaries, but he's also trying to gain and gather interest while planting the seeds of, hey, let's see where this goes. And it's like around every corner, like she just, nope. Good night, Tom. That was her thing. Good night, Tom. Goodbye, Tom. Goodbye, Tom. Like to the point that even like last night, we go to bed she rolls over to kiss me goodnight, and I almost said goodnight, Jenny. I just stopped her. That's too fast.
Well, technically, she's not saying no.
Right. She's just tabling it for later. And so that was just kind of awkward. It's just very herky jerky. Of he's not being disrespectful. He's not being pushy. You initiated it. Why are you being so resistant? And the second one is. She set a New Year's resolution deadline. There was open conversation about how resolutions only last about a month and then people give up on them anyway. Well, she wants to say yes more, and so she sets a deadline of her birthday, which is February 8th. So she's already from the beginning building in that I'm going to quit this in about a month. But for the month of January, I will say yes. And so I thought that was goofy. I'm like, it's not a resolution. So you were planning on, it's almost like I'm going to set a resolution for the new year, but it's only going to be for a month and a week, and then I'm going to pat myself on the back for keeping my resolution. Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to set a goal to eat less over the next hour, and hope that I can meet that goal.
It's like anticipated obsolescence.
Yeah, it just was a little goofy. So those are my two bads.
My two bads. One of them was just, and again, we've seen it in these Hallmark movies how the pace moves fast, but in this one, I mean, oh my, it's cut after cut after cut, and cuts within scenes, and it's exhausting keeping up with these movies.
Yes,
because they just sprint. They absolutely just sprint, and it's just cut, scene change, and it's just. You don't linger anywhere. Nothing ever grows or develops. Nothing's organic. It's just cut. And I don't know. It makes for a very frantic pace.
Very much so. I agree.
My other bad was all of these, and I mentioned it earlier, all of these other events. There's 4 people at this and 6 people at that. And then you get to her 30th Gatsby themed party, and there's dozens of extras, and they're all... Yeah, everybody. I think Giannis was there too. He was done ladling out chili, and there he is, dressed as Gatsby himself in the back. And it's just, so it's like you pick this one sequence to go all out on with your budget, and all of the others, it's like, okay, let's go to the local playground for the obstacle course and get a couple of buckets for the chili.
It was a little disjointed there. I agree.
Yeah. So those are my two bads. Hans, what is your one?
I didn't look in who the funding was from, but do you think Six Flags Great America helped fund this movie at all?
They're mentioned half a dozen times. Oh, by the way, Six Flags, it's halfway between Milwaukee and Chicago.
And it's always by her tall cop friend. So she's a very playful woman at heart. And so that was my hum.
Yes.
Did Six Flags Great America, they fund this? Because, like you said, constantly referencing that Chicago has a Six Flags. There's Six Flags there. Right. So that was my hum. I'm like, they were getting an awful lot of name dropping.
Yeah, they were. They didn't earn that.
No.
My one was just how his precocious preteen nieces, and again, you compared them earlier with, they could have just cast the roles with dogs.
They could have,
because they're basically like, Uncle Tommy. And again, I mean, you and I both work at a high school, and again, this is a few years younger than the demographic we work with, but it just seemed a little out of place.
Yeah. My daughter just turned 11. This is my daughter's age. They don't act like this. They act like this to each other.
No,
but they don't act like this to adults.
Yeah, this is 4 or 5 year olds.
Yeah.
that should have been in these roles. But here are these 11, 12-year-old girls sprinting at him and jumping at him and screaming at him.
Yeah, it was.
So that was my
Yeah, I agree. So, we did it. We made it through a month of Hallmark Christmas movies.
We made it through.
We are done. We have wrapped up episode 9. Like I mentioned last week, we have now spent 55% of our podcast watching movies that we wouldn't normally watch. And that doesn't mean movies that have been on our radar. We just haven't had time. We're talking movies that we're not. Yeah, they were
movies
not
we would
made for us.
actively
so
avoid.
We have shown you, listeners, that we are open to punishment, but we are also going to treat it nicely. I feel we've been fairly kind to this movies.
I believe we have as well. And we respect the process. We respect the studios. We understand what they are, what they aren't.
I sent you a screenshot earlier this week. By the way, you catch us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We've got a Patreon. We got a website. All that stuff will be down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, do all the things are necessary. All of that stuff that you hear us say every week, and you hear every podcast and every YouTube video talk about, do all that. But I sent you a screenshot earlier this week of a Twitter post. We have 0 followers on Twitter, just so you know. You could be the first. But we have 0 followers on Twitter outside of my personal account, and I believe yours. So I posted this up there, and I always try to throw a hashtag in just to spread the love a little bit, because who else is going to find it? And we had a like on Twitter, a heart, or whatever phrase you use to like a tweet. And I didn't recognize the person, so I clicked on who it was, and it was liked. Last week, what was the movie we covered? It was The Night Before Christmas.
Yes, a K-N-I-G-H-T.
Yes. Last week, we covered A Night Before Christmas, the Netflix movie, and the screenwriter of said film liked our tweet on Twitter where we shared the link to this. I can only imagine that she liked it because of what we covered, not because she listened to it. If you did, thank you. And I don't apologize for our views. I'm sure.
Well, regardless, we appreciate the engagement.
I'm sure, honestly, the script must have been well written enough that they made a movie out of it. So kudos to you. I'm not a successful screenwriter, and you are. So but it was. I clicked it on. I'm like, oh my gosh, the person who wrote the movie liked our tweet. That poor
this
lady
was a
hasn't listened to it.
Netflix movie. This was not a. This was not Hallmark.
No. So so now it's your turn. Get in there, comment, like our tweets, share them, tell everybody you know. Next week we're going to switch gears because we're moving into January. Curtis, what do we cover next month?
Next month we are switching from Hallmark-esque holiday movies to Mel Brooks, the famed writer, comedian, actor,
producer.
Yes. We're making a hard right turn into Mel Brooks territory, and we are kicking.
He says it enough. He says it enough. We could probably also add Jewish man to the end of that because there is a parade of jokes throughout his filmography that just tied to the fact that he's Jewish.
He leans into it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Own what you are and who you are.
Absolutely. So Mel Brooks,
and we're gonna kick things off with our first movie next week. We wanted to come up with something that was about as different could be from Hallmark, and so we're gonna go with the sci-fi spoof Spaceballs.
Spaceballs, which is a romance. So if you have been watching or listening this month, this will be a nice segue for you into another romance that we're covering.
Yes.
Where we have a princess and a prince.
Horse-faced space dog.
So, yeah, and we do. It's a nice Star Wars riff, and it's a wonderfully made, very funny movie, and I'm very, very much looking forward to getting back into something that's more in our wheelhouse.
Yes.
So...
But until that time, Oz, we are Let's Talk About Flicks. I'm Curtis.
I'm Oz. Thank you guys for coming, listening, watching, whatever you do. Have a great new year, and we hope that you join us for 2022 as we're going to keep producing and creating these things. And if it's a light in your life, we're happy to be there. So thanks, guys, and take care.
Happy New Year.